I think one of the biggest struggles I've had recently, don't mind the clothes in the back. Okay, I gotta take these to the cleaner. Okay, they're not usually there. They're always there. Anyway, um, one of the biggest struggles that I've had recently was telling myself, or at least I keep trying to tell myself, that I don't have enough time. But the more I've thought about it, the more I've actually like just done it, just pushed myself to go do it, the more I realize that that actually isn't true. I don't necessarily have a time problem. I have a priority problem because every single day that I'm choosing where my time goes, and honestly, it doesn't really go toward the right things most of the time. For like the last 2 months or so, I use my internship as an excuse as to not try to eat right, as a way to excuse myself from going to the gym and from socializing as often, right? And my internship has been great. I've been learning a lot. I've also been, um, just new concepts I just didn't wasn't really familiar with before. But I've also used it as an excuse, right? I told myself because I'm studying more, because I'm working more, I don't have enough time to go to the gym. That's why you've noticed a content shift. Like these videos are a lot easier for me to make in my own abode, in my room somewhere, but they're not really the videos that I want to be making. And I started asking myself, do I actually have time? Do I actually have time? And also, do I actually have time, or am I just choosing something else instead? And the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I realized whenever I come home from my internship, I go straight to sleep. I study for 2 hours, come home, go to sleep, get back up, go to work. I don't like, I have all these script ideas that I have. I write them down and I eventually do them. I don't like schedule time on the weekends when I do have time in order to actually start making videos like this, go to the gym and make the videos. I just made one the other day, so you're going to see that soon, but we'll see. Who knows? I say I used to think that I couldn't work out for an hour because I'd be too exhausted to go home, go to sleep, take a shower, and study properly and retain all the information I was doing. It doesn't really matter. Um, and I used it as an excuse for at least 2 months or so, right? And that's because I wanted everything to be perfect. And especially with my content creation style, I didn't feel like grabbing my camera, grabbing my mic, going all the way to the gym after I just did 8 hours of school, going over here, setting it up, trying to memorize the script as I went on. I didn't want to do that stuff, and I was just like, oh, why? But if I didn't have all that stuff in order and it wasn't easy for me to do, and if it wasn't perfect, I didn't do it, right? But eventually, I started getting out of that mindset, especially as my program started to end a little bit. I realized that like 30 minutes is better than zero. 45 minutes better than zero. Like today, I did a 45-minute workout. Uh, I just push-ups, pull-ups, hit the bag a little bit, and pulled the sled. Right? That's what I did. But 30 minutes every day beats one perfect workout once a week, and that's something I try to remember. So like instead of trying to recreate my old schedule, which I still love and I want to get back into, I'm just trying to build a new one that's better for me right now. Especially with my current financial situation. And the gym isn't even my biggest problem either. It's really my diet, right? It's easier to grab In and Out, Cane's, Chipotle than it is to spend uh 4 hours in total meal prepping for the entire week because I want my food to taste good when I eat it or whatever, right? And it's easier to do that than to track my macros. And especially after these couple months, I started seeing it. You know, at first I didn't. I saw my frame. Like I started noticing I started to lose muscle. My frame went away. Whatever taper I had right here just evaporated into nothing. Freaking My biceps don't even look the same anymore. They look freaking weak. I couldn't even pick up a I couldn't even pick up a like what you know those water jugs that are like this big, that are like those gallon water jugs that they use for the water machine. Yeah, I try to pick those up. I couldn't pick them up like I used to. I was like, dang, what happened? I wasn't in the gym and I wasn't eating right. Now, during that time period, I didn't have a job and I was really worried about, proper nutrition and figuring out a way to eat properly and getting my macros in. But because I my dieting wasn't right, I wasn't working out anyway. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna start working out when my program is over, which is not a bad thing. But it's not a bad thing. But it's not what I could have done. I did have enough time. I just didn't do what I should have did with it. I was spending over all my time basically watching videos and playing video games, ruining my eyesight for something that I could have just waited for the weekend for. Physical motion is extremely important. Like even today, I was noticing that my joints were cracking a lot more because I haven't been moving and I haven't been eating properly. Which, dude, that was a wake up call for me. Anyway, last time I weighed myself, I was like 155 at 18% body fat. I stepped on the scale earlier today and I was like 150, which is like 15 pounds away from being where I want to be at. I haven't got my body fat percentage yet, but we'll check it soon. But it's just not where I want to be at. So what I might even try to track it and make it into a series because as all of you watching it, it gives you more content ideas, and it's a lot harder for me to make excuses that way. I can keep myself accountable for that. Maybe not like a daily video type thing, but maybe like a weekly check-in, kind of like the finance videos, but we'll see. And this is probably one of the more important parts of this video, right? I think we all say that we don't have time at some point in time, right? But sometimes what we really mean is that I haven't prioritized it. The whole idea of like making time for it, like we have 24 hours, well, maybe like 16 hours every day, depending on your sleep schedule. But the fact is that like when you start switching into I actually don't have time, if you start putting your schedule with this is what I do, school, work, study time, gym, you'll start realizing where your gaps are and where you can put effort into filling those gaps with something productive or something that you actually want to do. I made a video beforehand about you have to prioritize the things that you want in this life. And I think that's very important. Like instead of me spending hours scrolling, or even just laying in the bed for like 2 hours trying to listen to a podcast or listen to the word or whatnot, I could have got up and spent it somewhere else where I'd actually like use my eyes and get out the house and open my Bible or actually like go to the gym, put my steps in because I just haven't been walking as much, like if I watch a YouTube video for 2 hours, like I had those 2 hours, I just decided to do something else with it that mattered more to me at the time. And that's really hard to admit, even for me, because the fact is that I wanted this to be a fitness channel, but I'm not being the fitness guy. Even though I don't have any like qualifications to teach people how fitness, I just want to document the journey so that you guys can know that you guys can do it too. Even investing, right? Investing didn't just magically become a habit for me, like I had to make it one. I had to learn, I had to budget properly. I had to decide that with every single paycheck, I know a percentage would have to be invested somewhere, someplace. Like first I did crypto, you know, ADA, Cardano, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all that other stuff. And I had to do that before I spent it on anything else, or else like I just wouldn't do it. I'd be like, oh, whatever. I don't feel like investing today, right? Even though I had the money. And that's what priorities look like. They happen before the convenience settles in, before the complacency settles in, because we have we have stuff to do. Okay, now whether or not we're supposed to do it, we have goals we want to commit to. Sometimes we don't feel like it, but that's not the point. The point is that you spend more time staying on the smart path in comparison to doing the dumb stuff. And I think that's it. I think that's either an Eric Munger quote or a Warren Buffett quote. That's probably gonna be the clip before I even start this video. Even for content creation, same thing. People see one video, they don't see the scripting, the filming, the editing, the uploading, the thumbnails, the titles, the description, all the other stuff. They don't really see that happens, but none of that stuff happens by accident. I have to make time for it. It simply doesn't get it. Like, if I don't do it, it simply doesn't get done. Like, even this video, I'm gonna film it and then I'm gonna edit it tomorrow because I made a video 2 weeks beforehand that I scheduled to upload on Monday. That's the only reason why I'm able to do that, because I made time to make content way 2 weeks ago, just in case I didn't have any ideas or I got lazy or I got tired. So that way it would just go. And then when I saw I was running out of videos, I just be like, okay, cool, let me get back into gear, right? And I have topics. I have plenty of scripts I could write on, but like I kind of don't want to. Sometimes I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like setting this up. Like, even the ring light camera that I'm using, it's kind of bright for my eyes, and I think all this technology stuff is like darkening my eyes. Like, whenever I turn it off, my eyes don't adjust to the darkness as quickly as they did before. I think that's a technology problem, but I have to check it out. Everything points to one goal. Okay, and when I really think about it, everything that I care about points towards the same destination. Whether it's investing, getting in shape, making YouTube videos, helping other people, like even my faith, all of that leads towards my ultimate value, which is freedom. Like, if you're free to do whatever you want, that is the ultimate goal ever, ever. Okay, if you can travel when you want to do, when you can pay for what you want to do, if you can buy whichever car whenever you want to do it, like, if you could do whatever you wanted, that is the goal. Okay, that's why I love power fantasy so much. Not because the MC's working so hard. They have the most OP ability to begin with in the first place. I don't have an OP ability, but I do like the fact that they have the freedom to do whatever they want. Kind of like Mr. Unchained. I might be a thumbnail. I might be the thumbnail in this video. We're gonna figure it out though. Like, right now, my physical side of my life has slipped. My spiritual life has slipped. But now that my internship and school are kind of like slowing down, I'm making the priorities once again. And it's not that I suddenly found more time. It's just that I decided that they deserved more time to do in the first place. I stopped asking whether or not do I have enough time. Instead, I was like, I'm going to make time. I'm gonna put it in my schedule, and I'm gonna make it a common part of my life, especially afterwards. It's not about doing it one time and then giving up. It's about getting back on the saddle when you fall off, or when you step off to take a break, or when your horse is drinking water. Like, it's important to take a deep breath, take it all in, because at the end of the day, it's 1 month. Okay, and if I'm gonna live on this planet for, let's just say, what, 125 years, Lord willing, with no major chronic illness, health problems, or anything like that, that means that 2 months or a month or two is not that big of a deal if it helps me set my life up for freedom, just as long as I'm contributing to everything else eventually. Because I can always come back to the gym. I can always come back to that, right? The muscle memory is there. The practice is there. The discipline is there. It's just whether or not I'm going to make the time for it. That being said, that's all I have time for. Hope you guys enjoy the video. If you guys have been struggling with your time management issues, it's not a time management problem. It's a priority problem. Okay. Triumph Athletic, code MINT, MINT, for 10% off your order. I believe it's 10% still. It's probably 10%. But please, 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 please share this with a friend. That's it. I'm out.